When anyone says this is how you be a man, run. Fucking run. There's 8.3 billion ways to be a human, so however many men are in the world, that's how many ways there are to be a man. The whole idea of men's work, the whole idea of any spiritual pursuit is to return you to who you are and then let that flower into the world. Most men think that the baggage they're carrying, the shame, the guilt, all the mistakes they've made, they think they're the only man in the world who's made those fuck ups. And then they come into a circle where men share and they also go, oh, you made really similar mistakes to me. And they go, fuck, I'm not the only one. It's this big breath of fresh air for their soul. Even though we do it every year, it still blows me away because 250 men turn up with their shit, with their masks, with their defenses, with their insecurities, hidden behind confidence. And by the second day, so many men say, I've never felt this safe around this many, or I've never felt safe around me. Just to be myself, just to be as I am. I started sharing my journey. I just started sharing what I was going through. This whole image I was holding up, it felt like shit. And the person behind the image was a mess. And so I started sharing the mess and I started sharing what I was doing to tend to my mess. It just made me realize the only way for you to actually find out if this is what you want is for you to be fully fucking invested, all in. A lot of the time, another common denominator I've seen is when men get in good brotherhood, the rest of their life transforms in a positive way, across the board. Literally, men getting together with good men regularly makes their relationship, their business, and their sense of self explode.
Welcome, brother.
Hello, Manny.
For people who don't know you, how would you best describe the work you do?
The work I do is around reinstating healthy masculine culture. And what I'm really passionate about is providing ways for the Western mind to re-engage with something spiritual that's non-dogmatic, non-denominational, non-owned by someone else, but really reconnecting with their true nature. And so that's what I'm passionate about, is framework, systems, experiences that reconnect people with who they are at their essence and how we bring that into the world. And the way that I do that is in men's work, and the outcome that I want is a healthy masculine culture in Australia. That's where we're starting.
I like it. Why? I guess, why did you decide to get into this work? Like, if you can maybe...
Oh, it's so cliche. It's
if you can take me back in terms of like, was there a specific moment? Was there a situation? Was it a compounding nature of things? Like why did you decide to lean into it?
So I went to what I would say like a very white, rich and racist school, private school in Sydney. There was 1,200 kids, maybe 2 guys of colour. Like, it was very square. You go through the education, you get shaped in a certain way, you come out the other side, you work for a company, you get hired by people who know what school you went to, and your life is set. And that never really worked for me. My brother was a rebel, so I had this outside influence of the surf culture. My best friend was one of the local guys and had the rugby league culture, so I never got the full indoctrination. And at the same time, I was a really good fit to be that next corporate CEO. I was a really good athlete. I fit the mold in one way, but my mind could never conceive how limited it felt to be squished into a little box of this is who you are and this is what you do and this is how to be. And when I came out of school, I wanted to quit rowing when I was 16, but I kept getting little glimmers of hope. Hey, Nana, you're the captain of boats. Hey, Nana, you're going to get a scholarship. So I ended up at Sydney Uni on a scholarship. I remember talking to my dad about it, and he said, it'll look good on your resume. And looking back now, I'm like, fuck, was that the logic? What about what I wanted to do? And so I just suffered, really. What I turned it into was a study of human potential, because that's what I'm interested in. But from 18 to 26, I did something I didn't want to do. And at a certain moment, a friend of mine who was a little bit older, he'd gone to a similar school, he killed himself. And that was one of the most world-shattering moments for me, because I was like, fuck, if he's not okay, maybe I'm not okay. And in that just little ripple of, I thought it was all going to work out because it was working out for Ed. It was the house of cards just came crumbling down. And so, man, it just fell apart underneath. I was an athlete, but I had every 15 minutes of my day mapped out. And I was so structured. I'd turned OCD into something people would clap their hands to. I had a huge amount of social anxiety. I didn't go out, not because I'm just training, but really I was terrified of social anxiety. And so when that all came, the house of cards came crumbling down, all of the shit came to the surface. And in that, I ended up reaching out to a yoga teacher that I'd trained at a friend's house. And he just said, yeah, come over. And he used to be a big wave surfer, Ian Thorpe's body mind coach, a fellow called Mark Bredner. And he just took me under his wing and was like, hey man, just start doing this yoga practices, daily breath work, meditation, Kriya. And I started to kind of stabilize. And then like there's so many aspects to this, so I'll cut it short. But essentially I started working with Mark and then ended up quitting rowing, went full-time traveling, teaching with him. And I started sharing my journey. I just started sharing what I was going through, just the realities of actually this whole image I was holding up. It felt like shit. And the person behind the image was a mess. And so I started sharing the mess, and I started sharing what I was doing to tend to my mess. And men started to reach out.
But when you say sharing, like sharing publicly?
Yeah.
Like on social media?
Social media.
Got it,
I just started sharing really fucking rawly what the fuck was up for me. And then men started reaching out. And there was a lot of men like, oh, me too.
Ooh.
Like, fuck, dude, thanks for saying it. It's like, oh my God, finally we're having that conversation. And then guys started to reach out. And then there was enough people that I was like, men started to ask if they could work with me, if they could get some mentoring. And my yoga teacher, Mark, he taught a framework called Yoga Life Coach. So I used the yogic model to share with men, and they started to get benefits in their life. And it's just snowballed from then. And every time I've tried to pull away from men's work, I had a couple of years off, I always end up back there. So it's one of those things that I don't feel like I'm choosing it. I feel like it's choosing me, and I'm going to keep running with that until something else grabs me.
You said from 18 to 26 you're doing something you didn't want to do. What were you doing?
Rowing.
Oh, you were doing rowing full-time,
Yeah,
18 to 26.
The story I would say to people is that I want to be an Olympic athlete. I think that was a story I would say because people would go, wow, that's amazing, go for it.
Got it.
And I would say that so no one would ever ask, what do you really want? Because I had no fucking idea. So I just put this big, beautiful veneer and image up that was so compelling and intoxicating to people that they'd give me a pat on the back and I'd feel okay for a moment. But really behind it, I had no fucking idea what I wanted. I had no idea who I was. I just felt, yeah, man, lost. Super lost.
So you started working with this guy, Mark.
Yep.
And then you obviously started sharing publicly like shit you were going through. So I guess you were just being vulnerable, right?
Yeah, just being vulnerable. Just sharing, like just writing about the realities of it, not having it together.
And obviously I haven't done men's work before, but I've interviewed some people on this podcast who are in that space, and then I see online because I must get hit with ads and just organic algorithms around.
Yeah, we're like target Benny.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because a lot of it's like men lead, women follow.
Yeah.
There's I don't know, like I'm not very well adversed in it, but I feel like there's a bit of like a similar path that most people kind of
it's interesting. There's a homogenizing of men's work at the moment, and it's not going to do us any good. So there's a real pushback to traditional masculine norms, and there's this real push to men lead and women follow.
Yes.
And people are even saying it's biological. That's bullshit. There is no biology. There is no actual substantial evidence to say that our biology dictates who lead and who follows. Leadership and listening, they go hand in hand. To be a good leader, you need to know how to listen.
Yeah.
Because if you're not listening to who you're leading, then who are you leading? And men can lead, women can lead. Imagine a man trying to tell a woman how to give birth.
True.
Know? And there's a lot of really interesting, I would say, verging on dogmatic rhetoric coming into the men's workspace, and I don't think it's going to do men any good, and I don't think it's going to do relating any good. The piece you're talking to around men lead and women follow, that for me, what I've noticed is people try and make a formula to figure out life. And they try to make a formula to figure out relationship. And really what I see there is they're scared.
Okay.
And so they're trying to create a formula and a safe way for us to do this thing, which is be a human. And maybe being a human is a present moment experience unfolding. And when we do it with someone else, man, that's a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so instead of it being a wild ride and us learning to shed all of the places where we're holding fear, we go, no, this is the formula. You have to follow and I will lead. So now we are safe.
Yeah.
I don't think the idea is to be safe. Yeah, I think the idea is to be real. And real includes fucking all of it, man. Real includes, can I love you through the fights? Can I love you through your annoying habits? Can I love you through your amazingness? Can I love you through your growth? I had a beautiful conversation with my partner this morning. She said, man, I feel like I've been picking on you a lot lately. And I said, oh, thanks so much for saying that. I feel good. And but I said, but I'm always open to more love and support.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're doing a great job. And what I've realized in myself recently is that I'm a human and I make a fuckload of mistakes. And I'm learning to love my mistakes and my learning journey. And as I'm learning to allow myself to be imperfect and to learn, I'm having so much more compassion for her where I'm like, oh, she was an arsehole to me then. Oh, she's learning how to be nice. Not she's actively trying to hurt me. There's, just dovetailing into, and jump in when you want, but dovetailing into this rhetoric around traditional masculine norms and like traditional masculinity is the way for men.
What does that mean? Because again, I'm quite new to the space, right?
Great question.
So you hear this word masculine, like what does it all mean? Like
traditional masculine norms is essentially a pushback to men are the provider and the breadwinner, and women are the housekeeper and the nurturer.
Okay. Interesting.
And people are even trying to say that it's biologically driven. It is not. It's culturally driven.
Yeah.
So the system that we live in normally dictates an efficient way to get along and deal with that system.
Okay.
So when the Industrial Revolution came along, a lot of the men went into the factories and they started to provide major income, and then to keep an ecosystem, the household alive, women tended to the house. For me, that's about efficiency and keeping things together. It's not saying women are better at this, men are better at that. Both men and women can do jobs just as well as each other. In all the research on leadership, biology plays no part in who is a good leader or not. There are two dominant styles of leadership. One is what's called prestige style leadership, and the other one is dominant style leadership. I would change that language a little bit. I would say devotional leadership and dominance leadership. And devotional is inspiration-based leadership. Martin Luther King is a really good example. Dominance-based leadership is my way or the highway. When it's done in an immature fashion, Donald Trump is a great example. And sometimes when shit's getting real, what we need is someone to say, hey guys, I'll take the lead. This is what's going to happen. Let's go, . But we need them to have the skill set and the maturity to do it in a way that's loving. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And so these two actually go hand in hand. Most of the time when men in the men's work space are saying men need to lead, what's actually happened there is they likely haven't dealt with their attachment issues from being a kid. So they still have some trauma to do with their mum or dad. And they're saying, this is how you be a man. When anyone says this is how you be a man, run. Fucking run.
That's good to know.
Yeah, there's 8.3 billion ways to be a human. So however many men are in the world, that's how many ways there are to be a man. The whole idea of men's work, the whole idea of any spiritual pursuit is to return you to who you are and then let that flower into the world. And like, you're having a kid right now, huh? What an initiation.
Yeah, and when you just said earlier about try and teach a lady how to give birth, it was a really good insight, because you're right. Like I developed a whole new perspective, like a whole new level of respect for women when I saw that journey unfold. I was like, oh my God. Like for me, like it was just a crazy experience. And so you're right. Like I feel like I would say unconsciously, like subconsciously, there's probably a more equal level of balance that's kind of arrived for me. Not that I I probably did think to some degree that like my dad was the provider, right? And he had that mentality where like I work, and my mum, you look after kids, and I work. And so I probably developed and carried a bit of that, feeling like I need to provide. And it's interesting. I feel like since the birth, just there's been a change of understanding.
I don't know any man who hasn't said that going through seeing their partner give birth and bring life into the world. Every brother I know is like reverence, full fucking reverence and respect.
Yes.
A really cool piece that I've come to learn through men's work, right? For me, initiation and rites of passage were the process that mature men psychologically and emotionally. Women have a natural initiation built into their biology. They bleed.
Yep.
A really cool part of initiation for men was that the men would bleed onto the earth. So they might cut the men, or there was scarification, they would bleed onto the earth. And that offering of blood to the earth was to bring them to the same level as women. So initiation for us was actually to stay so we could meet them equally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's an initiation process that people go through who join the Embodied Man Institute.
We don't do that.
Okay.
That's like, no, we're not doing bloodletting, we're not doing cutting. But traditional initiation practices
understood.
often had to do with scarification.
Got it.
And there would be some level of blood hitting the earth. And that process was to mimic or be the offering that women give to the earth through their menstruation. And it was for men to do it so they could actually be on the same level as women.
That's interesting. I just want to touch back on something, because it would be good just to share this. Is we had a home birth, and people kept asking me after how was the birth, and it was a very spiritual experience for me, like super ceremonial. In fact, it was I'm not religious at all. I don't believe in religion. It was the closest thing for me around touching God, seeing whatever you want to call it, Mother Divine, whatever, create life. I was kind of like in shock for like two weeks after, just because I went through that whole process of just thinking about like the baby and this like coming out perfect, fingers, hands, nose, nails, eyes, and it was just a super like spiritual experience. And it was just insane.
I'm studying a master's in psychotherapy and counselling, and I want to put in a research proposal. So no one's steal my research, but the proposal, actually do it. Let's all do it. So the proposal is that mystical experiences, men having mystical experiences or experiences of awe, using that as a tool to counteract the negative outcomes of traditional masculine norms.
Okay, what does that mean?
Traditional masculine norms,
Yeah.
stoicism, self-reliance, avoidance of emotions, and isolation.
Okay.
So I can do it all on my own. I don't have emotions. I've got this. Let's go. I'm tough.
That was kind of me for a long time.
It's a lot of men.
Still working through it. Work in
A lot of
progress.
men, bro. Me too, you know? And then there's moments, I find like, I'm good at this. And then another challenge comes and I want to harden. And I'm like, I need to open. Fuck.
Yeah.
So they are traditional masculine norms.
Okay.
Across the board, they lead to negative mental health outcomes for men.
Makes sense.
If left unchecked.
For sure.
Super logical.
Yeah.
Okay. Mystical experiences and states of awe induce a sense of me being small, but not in a negative way.
Okay.
It's that, oh my God, I'm connected to this incredible experience of life. It induces humility. It induces a desire to be connected with other people.
Yeah.
It induces vulnerability. So I'm open to my emotions and what I'm feeling. And it induces a pro-social behavior. So it induces, hey, let's look after everyone. And so what you had for me is a mystical experience where you were blown away by the awe of life, by seeing creation happen in real time, and you were the one witnessing and holding space.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
In that naturally erodes all of the traditional masculine norms that lead to poor mental health outcomes for men.
100%.
Amazing.
Very interesting what you're sharing. Yeah. I can feel that.
And that's for me what initiation and rites of passage would have done for us if we had a healthy culture to instate that in our lives as we grew up. Most of the ways, and I'll go on a limb here, but I reckon it's going to resonate for you, most of the ways you and I probably sought out initiation was through women, drugs, drinking, and inappropriate risk-taking through our 20s.
100%.
Men are hardwired for risk. It's one of the masculine norms that actually brings us online and makes us healthier, a healthy level of risk. And so in earth-based cultures or cultures that had a sense of community, there would be a process of delivering risk by the elder men to the younger men where they could face off with who they think they are to become who they're meant to be. And that was initiation. And in that, they would learn how to regulate their emotions better. They would learn how to handle more capacity in life. They would learn how to show up better and not lose their cool. They would learn how to feel more without collapsing. And so that for me is this beautiful, like that's what's missing in the world. And we sort it out through risk-taking, drug-taking, women, sports, all the crazy shit. And that's kind of what I see as missing in the world. We don't have the right systems in place to help develop men so that when they get to becoming an adult, they can act like an adult.
It's a fucking good point. Like we're not, like there's no playbook for the tools. No. So like you're right, like you can resort to these crazy activities. So EMI.
Yes.
Embodied Man Institute.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that all these men keep coming to you, reaching out for help, and then you formed this.
Had breakdown number 1, went to yoga.
Okay. Yeah, that's
then I became like I had like the best spiritual ego. Like I was the most righteous motherfucker in the world. I was such a prick. And I was spiritually equipped so I could dismantle people with my spiritual lingo. And then I had breakdown number 2. And that's, I feel, when I actually woke up.
Why do you think you had breakdown number 2?
I think it was destined, man. Like the way I live, I'm an edge dweller. I like to push things. If I do something, I do it to the nth degree. And so I wanted to know. I want to know who the fuck am I? I want to know what is life about? What am I here to do? I want to feel like every day I'm waking up and I'm inspired. Not I need to be inspired, but I think there's a gift of being alive, and I want that to animate me when I wake up each day.
Have you always been introspective, or did that kind of amplify when you met Mark? Like, what did that look like?
I've always asked questions. I've always been curious. I've always been a question asker, an edge dweller, like I've always wondered about shit. Yeah. I don't remember not being, how do we do this better? How do I do this different? What does that mean? I was a terror in religious classes at school. I was like, how do you know it was a man and a woman? I was like, what? How are we just trusting this book?
How do you know Jesus was alive?
Then I'd get kicked out every class.
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, I interrupted you, but
No.
yeah, you were sharing that journey around EMI.
second wake up, quit all of my jobs, shut all of my businesses. I realized that everything I'd grown from that until that moment had been from fear, because I was afraid of life. Took a big 3-year sabbatical, came back into the fold, went traveling, did all the things you're meant to do. You know, I was a good, what's that word? I can't remember, but person who wanders. And came back, and my mate Jacob, my business partner, me and him used to bicker a lot online because I was very jealous of him, actually. And I reached out. I was like, you know what, this guy's doing something cool. I'm going to ask if I can just go and help at his event, because I need a bit of humble pie. And he goes, I was going to call you and say, can you be a facilitator? And I was like, okay, I can do it. So I started facilitating at the Gathering of Men. That was 3 years ago.
So the Gathering of Men is the name of
I'll thread it all in.
Yeah,
So I went to the Gathering of Men, Jacob's event.
Okay.
Jacob O'Neill. Facilitated at the Gathering of Men, and I just watched Jacob be in service, man. I watched this guy pull off an event, like out of grit, sweat, and fucking belief, like delusion into reality. And I was like, wow, that guy's going to kill himself if he doesn't get some help. And after it, I said, hey, bro, I know we've had a lot of, bickering between us, but I have so much respect for what you've done. And if you want my help, I'm up for it. And he was like, let's talk. So we sat down and we came to the conclusion that what we needed, if we want to be in brotherhood and if we want to be in men's work, then we need to set up a business that reflects the nature of brotherhood. And in that, we set up the Embodied Man Institute, which is a not-for-profit organization. And there are 4 key responsible nominees. So the business is set up like brotherhood. So how we operate is in the sense of brotherhood. And the Embodied Man Institute, its flagship event is the Gathering of Men, the biggest men's event in Australia each year. And then we run an online academy, we run initiations for men, we run a number of events. And we keep developing it in a way that is aligned and inspired with what we're going through and what we're up to and what turns us on.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
How long's that been going for?
I'd say it's 2.5 years.
Yeah. And I've seen some of I couldn't make the last one because, of the birth, but some of the footage looks fucking insane, like really cool.
Yeah, man, 250 guys on the land doing really good work. It's one of the most magical experiences I have every fucking year. Even though we do it every year, it still blows me away because 250 men turn up with their shit, with their masks, with their defenses, with their insecurities hidden behind confidence. And by the second day, it's so beautiful to see men. So many men say, I've never felt this safe around this many men. Or I've never felt safe around men. Just to be myself, just to be as I am. Here, a human breathing, and that be fucking welcome in the space. That be celebrated. Whenever men feel good, they want to be of service. That's another thing I've noticed. When men feel good about who they are, they just want to help, want to chip in, want to have a yarn. And so the Gathering of Men, next year you'll be there. There's something incredibly special about it.
What are some insights like you've observed with just men's work, just in relation to working with men? Is there like commonalities that you've...
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. What are some of these patterns?
Man, one of the biggest pieces that I've come to learn about men is the amount of men that have suffered abuse in their childhood is astronomically high.
Like physical,
verbal and sexual abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think the world realizes how many men have been abused when they were growing up and how many men will never fucking admit it. And it takes them their whole life falling apart before they go, fuck, this happened to me and I need to deal with it. Yeah, we do some processes where men get to clear what's happened in their past. Every person is like, fuck, holy shit, I had no idea. And I don't think the world really understands that. I don't think men report it. And I'm not saying it excuses any of the negative behaviors that a lot of the collective of men are doing in the world, but I think if the world knew, they might have a whole heap more compassion for men.
Wow, that's interesting. And so Why do you think men don't talk about it? They don't feel safe? Like,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of shame. I think when I look at what happened to Indigenous cultures, when the colonizers, when Britain came in here, when the British came in and they destroyed what it is to be a man and to care about your community.
yeah,
You know, they hurt the people we are designed and love to protect. They took away our capacity, our service, our ability to, like the colonizers came in and when they destroyed a community, they destroyed everything that man stands for.
yeah,
And why I bring that in is I think when a man is abused and it's not addressed, it builds a whole heap of shame about who he is and that he's wrong and he doesn't know how to bring that to the world and there's no safe spaces to bring that to the world. And on top of that, in the Western world, it's like you're a man and you've got heaps of privilege, so just enjoy your privilege. And it's like, yeah, but there's a kid there that was abused. And so I think there's this huge conflict of what happens as a child and then coming into a world where we are the most privileged person in the world. A white male is the most privileged man in the world. And I can imagine that creates a crazy internal conflict for a man that he doesn't know how to deal with and the world doesn't know how to talk about.
For people listening to this, right, there's going to be some people who, I'll speak to the men who are getting help, like some facilitation. It could be like one-on-one counselling or whoever their psychotherapist, whatever they're doing. What would you say in your experience is the difference for a male to versus seeing a male or female one-on-one for whatever they're doing versus like being part of a men's group? 'Cause I've never been part of a men's group, so I'm genuinely curious to understand what that looks like.
It's such a great question. It's horses for courses. So every therapeutic approach and every model for helping people, I think, has its place.
Yeah.
What normally happens and what I've seen commonly happens is men come into some sort of getting help.
Yeah.
They feel better and then they get attached to the help and they stop growing.
Yep.
So they come in, they see a therapist, the therapy makes them feel better and it's like, all right, cool, I'm staying here because now I finally feel good. That's not really how growth works. So there's a non-linear journey with growth. So all of them have their place and I don't know which one works for which man, but a lot of the time, another common denominator I've seen is when men get in good brotherhood, the rest of their life transforms in a positive way across the board. It's insane. Literally men getting together with good men regularly makes their relationship, their business and their sense of self explode.
And why is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I think another piece from men gathering and hearing each other's stories, a really common thing that is said is, I thought I was the only one. So most men think that the baggage they're carrying, the shame, the guilt, all the mistakes they've made, they think they're the only man in the world who's made those fuck ups.
Yes.
And they beat themselves over the head for those mistakes. And then they come into a circle where men share and they also go, oh, you've made really similar mistakes to me. And they go, fuck, I'm not the only one. It's this big breath of fresh air for their soul. Or they come in and there's these shitty things happening in their relationship and they get to share it in a space where it can be recycled and they can get some advice and they can get some support and they can get a brother goes, hey man, I've been through that and it's okay, it gets better. Here's what I did. Here's how you can take care of your half of the street. It is a really accessible way for men to feel good about themselves. One of the key pieces in the research around why men don't reach out for therapy is that the therapy doesn't suit men.
I see that.
Yeah. So men actually don't resonate with what's being offered.
Yes.
It doesn't work for them. And so men's work is a really good way for a guy to feel safe to bring his shit up in public and it be helped and held in a clean way.
Is there research around, because you mentioned the word good men, which I want to talk about. I want to kind of dive into that. But is there research around like this sense of holding space, doing work in a community environment? Like if I go to a therapist, like I'm not in a community.
You are.
I am?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Okay.
And not to be abrupt, but you are. It's just a small community.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, a community is when there's more than one, really.
Okay.
So it's just a very intimate community. There's communionship happening.
Yeah.
You're communing with someone. But there is a difference, on the scale of community. So one of the premises I work with is that the damage happened in relationship or the trauma happened in relationship and the healing happens there too.
Okay.
And oftentimes when we get into a larger community, more of the shit that happened can play out with more people.
Okay.
So an example would be when we run our facilitator training, We get a group of men together, we journey for 6 months, but it starts with 5 days and it's an intense 5-day immersion. Most of the time, there will be a projection from men onto Jacob or myself of who in their past we become. So we either become the father that was hypercritical, we become the brother that bullied them, we become the uncle who was absent or who beat them. That's really common in therapy. It's called transference. Yeah. But in a community, you can imagine if you've got more people around to get that mirror from, your growth can be faster and you can go through more shit. If you've just got one therapist who only triggers all your mother shit, a little different. They have to be really skilled at helping you see the other stuff you've got.
That's interesting.
That's my take on it.
So this 5-day initiation, it's deep.
Oh man, it's epic. Yeah. It's my favorite body of work that we do, the facilitator training. And yeah, it's full power.
Must be profound, like seeing even the breakthroughs that transpire after those 5 days and just seeing how people open up and get in their body more. And
on this last training, and the bros won't mind me saying this, they literally are finishing this week. But I remember walking into that room and thinking, Jacob, who the fuck have you brought here? They are not ready for this. And at the end of that 5 days, the most delicious meal of humble pie and being totally in love with these guys for their willingness to just break loose from all the limiting beliefs and stories about who they are and why they're not good enough. And now at the end of 6 months, to see these men stepping into service, offering things for men, sharing themselves, pursuing what they want, actually living a life that feels good for them, bro, I'm like, there's no better job than this. Like, there's nothing I'd rather do.
Why did you feel that they weren't the right, let's say, fit or whatever it was you were thinking?
Because I know how deep I want to go in that space.
Got it.
I know how real I want to be in that space. And for some people, that can spin them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We've had men drop out because it's too much too soon. And that's a really key part of healing and growth. You have to work at a rate that you can calibrate. So if you go too hard too soon, you'll blow out. You have to work at a rate that you can integrate and calibrate into your nervous system, into your psyche, into your sense of self. Otherwise, and we see this a lot with medicine, people taking a lot of medicine and losing their shit or thinking they're then God. So that's the work's being done inappropriately. But yeah.
So it seems like, you are on a deep journey around what it's like to be a human and to be like the best version of yourself. Like, it takes a lot of work, right? Like it's a lifetime practice.
Bro, it's the most incredible paradox in the world.
Okay.
Because the ultimate version of me is the meest me of all time in this moment henceforth. And I was born and designed to be me. So in theory, it should be the simplest thing in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
In practice, it turns out to be quite challenging.
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah. Don, my recent teacher, and he was probably one of the first distinguished male elders I've ever had the fucking honor of being in the company of. He said, it's simple, but not easy.
It's very challenging walking on this earth. And I think that I can only talk from my experience, but like it requires a fuckload of work because I feel like as we grow up, we can be stripped away from our authenticity, from parents, from people. Like we kind of can lose ourselves. And then it's like climbing back to try and, as you were explaining earlier, like reclaiming like why we're here and what we're doing. And
yeah, asking these big existential questions that people have been asking for millennia. So there's something to it. And I really advocate that anyone who has the privilege to ask those questions because their circumstance supports it, ask the fucking question. If you're not fighting for meals, if you've got a job, if you've got a food over your head, if you have the basic needs and more met, I really feel that it is our duty as humans to ask the questions of why the fuck are we here? And make this a spiritual pursuit. And in that, I believe we come into service and helping those who are in need. That's why we started EMI, so that we could start to help young men in need.
It's interesting. One of the businesses I started by Age Institute was a career business, and I wasn't in the career business before that. And so when I started that business, I was doing a lot of the sales calls to begin with, just to understand customer objections and just to learn the process. And one of the apparent patterns I started to see was how miserable people were in their job. Like 98% of people fucking hated what they were doing. And I just had no awareness around that prior. Like I didn't think about it a lot.
Have you always loved what you've done?
No.
When did you make the switch to go, no, I'm going to do something that I love?
I don't think I'm there yet.
Okay. So, but you're in the pursuit of that.
Yeah, I'm in the pursuit.
Purpose is one of the most important thing for men to feel good. So the pursuit of purpose, and Don would say this to me, there is no guarantee that you're going to get what you've got the scent of blood for, but it's the only journey worth taking in life. So there's no guarantee that we're going to get what we're hunting for.
Yes.
But it's the only hunt that will ever matter to us.
I mean, it's an interesting question because I'm definitely, there's a level of fulfillment in things that I'm doing, but like, am I fully on purpose? The answer would be no. But I'm hunting for it. Yeah. And I'm praying that, you know, it will arrive, and if it doesn't, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But at least I'm actively trying to pursue.
This is a big concept I'm really loving at the moment. The only way for anything to work out in life is to be all in. I had multiple relationships where the same shit kept happening and kept fucking up. And then it got to the point where I was like, look, I'm the common denominator here. And then I saw one of my patterns was I never go all in. I'm half in, half out because I can see their flaws and I use their flaws to be like, maybe this isn't my person, da-da-da. And with Don, again, he just made me realize the only way for you to actually find out if this is what you want is for you to be fully fucking invested, all in. Because if you pull out because you're not really sure, you never know.
That's right.
But if you go all in, you find out. And in going all in, it's the likeliest way for you to get the outcome that you want.
I agree with that.
So it's like, fuck. One of the questions we asked is, where are we not all in?
I like that.
Yeah.
And I resonate with that. I've experienced that. When you're not all in, you just get that half-assed result.
Yeah.
And you've got to expect that as an outcome.
Yeah. I mean, the people you spoke to, they're like, they're miserable in their life, but they're not willing. They're half in, half out. They're coming to you for something else, and it's just this murky. It's like, nah, that's no way to live. Not if you have the privilege to not.
Do you find that outside of your men's circle, so let's just say the work that you do, it's probably a very generalistic question, but do you find like a lot of people, like male and female, are self-aware enough to be actually thinking about the importance of, you know, what it's like to be a human, how they want to live, what they want to do and why? And, you know, I'm talking about outside of your circle. It's
an interesting question. And I learned this years ago, I think it was in my yogic times, that was the Tibetan Buddhist, they believe that at any one moment there's only 15% of the population ready to wake up. And I'm like, maybe, but I think we're designed. I think we're all pretending to be asleep and we just need the right knock on the door for us to go, fuck, let's wake up. So I don't know. Outside of my circles, I really like to see the good in people. I believe we're all cut from the same cloth. I believe we're the same energy and is animating and orchestrating all of us. So if I have the capacity for living a life that inspires me, I think anyone who has the circumstance to do that can too. And whether they have the awareness can be cultivated. So I would say it's more, do they have the support? Do they feel safe enough? And do they have the circumstance where they can address what's making them pretend to be asleep, which is normally their past and their childhood?
You mentioned like one of the patterns you saw around like the abuse that men have gone through, which is really interesting. I was curious to understand, like, what about in relation to, is there a pattern around like how men show up with like in their relationship?
I'm so glad. Yeah, great question. Okay, this is another really epic current trend happening in the self-development space, is that men need to be able to hold it all. And basically, if your woman expresses something and you can't hold it, well, that just shows you're still a little boy and you're not enough. There's some truth in that. Yeah, there's some truth. And the flip side of that is when someone is being an asshole, they're being an asshole and it's not your job to put up with it. Yeah. But there's kind of one of the big sales tactics, and we've leveraged it, a lot of people leverage it, is that she's not too much, you just can't hold enough as a man. So there's this big prerequisite and expectation on men to be able to hold it all.
Yes.
And that is a masculine principle, to be with it all. That's a beautiful capacity to be present with life, to be present with what is. That's a very high spiritual practice. And it falls often into the domains of the masculine energetics. On the flip side, the feminine expression. The energetics of the feminine, I'm not just saying women, but the energetics of the feminine is the full capacity to express yourself and let yourself be taken by the movement of life. And so those two go hand in hand.
Yep.
what's happening at the moment is men need to be able to hold it all, and women need to be able to express whatever they want. How that plays out is that men become frozen and trying to hold it and be the right man, and I have to hold it all, and oh my God, she's yelling at me and I need to just hold it because that's what a man is. And women there's some trends in the women community. It's like, well, I'm just expressing myself and you're calling me too much and that's your fault. Both of them are totally immature ways to approach relating. Relating is the present moment experience of, hey, how are you expressing yourself? Does that feel really good and true for you? Or is that really resonant? Because for me, it's actually, it's not that enjoyable. And so one of the trends, long way to answer the question, but one of the trends that I'm seeing is that men are under the expectation that they need to be a certain way.
Yep.
Women are expecting men to be a certain way. Men are expecting women to be a certain way.
Yeah, say that.
And all that happens is people are trying to relate through a whole veil of expectation instead of meeting another human in their humanity and exploring what it feels like to do it well together.
Which you would think is just the basic way to deal with it, like good effective communication, checking in, and rather than it's interesting though. I can see how that plays out though the other way. Yeah,
and the reason I'm giving this kind of creating a wide map for us to look at it, because another piece that happens, so there's attachment theory, right? The way that you attach to your mum and dad will dictate who you're attracted to and how you relate to your partner.
Yeah.
Really common theory. Makes a lot of sense. But there's another thing that's happening where people are saying he's trying to make his partner his mother because he wants to be nurtured and cared for.
Yes.
To be in a relationship is to nurture and care for someone. Why the fuck would you not nurture and care for someone? That doesn't make them your mother.
Yes.
It might be done in an inappropriate and immature way, but it's also a part of relating. So for me, the trend that I'm seeing is people are making it black and white about relationship, and it is not black and white. It's nuanced, it's moment to moment, and it's relational, and it's living. So there might be one time where my partner leans on me and it has a real flavor of like, wow, I feel like you're trying to make me your dad right now. And there's another time where my partner leans on me and it's like, hey, honey, I really want to show up for you. This feels really clean. But if we make relating black and white, this is how you be a man, this is how you be a woman, we totally erode the experience of being a human and having the human experience of relating, which is fucking incredible. Don and Martha were together for 57 years.
Okay.
And Martha, in one of my most recent sessions Maria and I did with Martha, she said, you know, your partner has this incredibly privileged perspective on you. They're so close that they can see all the things you can't and don't want to see. And if you have the courage to listen to what they're offering you and not get defensive, you're going to fast track your growth at a rate that you couldn't even conceive. And so for me, I feel like that's where the juice of relating is. Can we be open enough to hear each other and see each other and let the edgy bits in versus you be a man, I'll be a man, you be a woman. This is how we fit together. Anything outside of that is wrong.
I get it. Like that rigidity is, yeah.
There's no formula for life.
Yeah, that's true.
There's fucking no formula.
And you try and put a formula.
The mind, the egoic, fear-driven mind always wants to put a formula and a framework to life so that I can feel safe.
Is there anyone that you've seen in the men's space that is approaching it like you're sharing as a way to...
Jacob O'Neill, my business partner, is one of the most accomplished relationship mentors and coaches I've seen. He has helped me to no end. Like that's one of his zones of genius. 11 years of marriage, really epic partnership with his wife, Meg. I have so much respect for them. Yeah.
So I guess a lot of the work is based on his work, which is...
Yeah, the lived experience. You know, his teachers, John Wineland and David Data, they're two of the kind of stakeholders or long-term stakeholders in the men's work space that have talked about relationship. It's quite energetic and sometimes esoteric. What I think Jake does is he's studied with both of those guys and he really brings it down into the understandable, functional, hey, here's what's happening and here's how we can address this and both parties can look at this and how do you come together again? And here's some really good systems for coming together.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like human experience.
Totally. Yeah.
So outside of EMI, you do health work?
Yes, sort of. Sort of. I don't know what the word polymath is, but I think it means someone who's interested in heaps of different shit.
That's right, yeah.
I love that. So there's a central tenet for me and it's really what is the essence of being human And then I take that journey into men's work, and I take that journey into another company called Biotra.
Okay.
And Biotra is looking at health through the lens of nature. And we do that through 3 categories. One is biophysics, the other is evolutionary biomechanics, and the third is psychospiritual, and that's my domain. And Nathan Siles, he's one of the leading minds on biophysics, and he's saying your environment really impacts your health.
Okay.
And he can explain through crazy shit science how the environment, water, sunlight, and the Earth's magnetism dictates your mitochondrial health, your baseline health. It's mind-blowing.
I'm all in. I agree on all that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's phenomenal, man. He can explain stuff that I can't comprehend, but it makes sense, and then I can't repeat it. So Nate does that. Nick Dorr, Dr. Nick Dorr, he does evolutionary biomechanics. So he's saying we are born to move. And if you look at how the brain develops, it develops through movement patterns.
Okay.
So it's really important how we move. And it's not a long bow to draw to think that our movement determines how well we think and how well our brain functions, and our creative thinking, lateral thinking. All of these things have to do with movement, and he can explain all of that. And he also says these are the key movements that a human needs to keep their movement patterns thriving, to keep them healthy. So he would say a stagnant body. Nathan's saying, hey, if you got good mitochondria, that means you got good fluid flow throughout your body. And Nick goes, yeah, but if you got rigid posture, that fluid ain't going anywhere. And then my stance is, hey, you can be the best mover in the world and you can live in the most biophysically friendly environment in the world. But if you hate yourself, you're fucked.
Fuck. Powerful, like 3 ingredients.
Yeah. So that's our constant, all thinking our stance is the most important, which is what cultivates it's like quite a provocative environment for us to research and think and grow. And that's the company Biotra. So we wrote a book. It's called Biotra. It's one of the most comprehensive manuals for health, I think, that's out there.
Wow. So sorry, if a client comes in the door, you're going through those 3 modalities, or is that how it works?
No, we don't really have people come in. It's more like a statement of hey, health is free.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. Health is free. You can be healthy without a lot of investment. And here's what you need to know. So the book is a really extensive manual of what you need to know.
Okay.
We then have online courses, which makes it bite-sized. And then we run a retreat once a year in the Solomon Islands where people come and live a very biophysically friendly, nature-based life. And we go diving with manta rays and spearfishing and walking through the jungle and just enjoy the experience of being a human and learning the technology that supports that. And that's that company.
So what's the book called?
Biotra, Biotra.
Okay, I love that. And that's is that digital, hard?
Nah, it's hard copy.
I like it.
Yeah,
I kind of
it's
love
huge.
the hard copy.
Oh, dude, tell me. I'm one of my goals is to be the kind of elder who has just the most distinguished library with sexy leather chairs, and I don't drink scotch, but I'll have some there because the aesthetic.
And just some really high quality books.
Yeah, I love books. I collect books. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Okay, so EMI, Biotra, and anything else that you're...
They're the 2 biggies.
They're the 2 biggies.
Yeah. EMI is that's my heart and soul, man. And Biotra is a really beautiful passion project. I'm involved with a startup around here, but it's probably too early to speak about.
Okay, fair enough. And so do you do one-on-one work with men as well?
I don't do one-on-one work at the moment, no. So
okay.
Biotra is big enough that... EMI is big enough that I need to be full-time in EMI.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm all in.
When's the next event for EMI?
Next event is the 12th of January, Masculine Convergence. It'll be a 1-day wake-up call for men. It'll be on the Gold Coast.
That's my birthday, dude.
Oh, no way. Free ticket for Benny. There we go.
Good wake-up call. Slap in the face.
So here we go. This isn't a workshop. It's a wake-up call. And we do a 1-day event. It'll be a blast. Last time we had 120 men there. Men fly in from all over the place and we do men's work. Man, it's one of the most beautiful things, strangers coming together, particularly men.
Yeah.
And then within an hour, there's a sense of familiarity and kinship. And by the end of the day, there's like a, what's up, bro?
What's it like, just curious, when people just turn up, that feeling, and then obviously then it's an hour in and then it's the end of the event?
I love, because I've been through it so many times, I love to watch the uncomfortability to begin with. It's like, oh, bro, you don't want to be here. And it's like, great, stay with the resistance because we want to melt that. We want you to have that experience of moving from I'm not safe or this is fuck to holy fuck, how have I not done this earlier?
A lot of the men, just out of curiosity, that are showing up, I don't know if you've got data on this, but are they showing up because their wife or a friend's been you need to get help, or are they voluntarily going, hey, I want to step into the mud myself?
That's a good question. I'd say that there's groups. So sometimes there's men who they're like, my wife bought me the ticket. Other times there's my mate came back from this and he just said it's the best thing he's ever done, so I'm here.
That makes sense.
Unfortunately, there are men who are going, my wife has left me, or I want to fucking kill myself, or I'm done.
Okay.
So there's a group. And then there is a really epic growing group of men who just realize that there's something to be done about the state of masculine culture and they're showing up for it.
Yes. I like I follow you guys on Instagram. I like the content. So is that like the main place that?
Yeah, Instagram's where Instagram, our website, they're our main kind of social stakeholders at the moment, or where people can meet us. We're building all that out ongoing. It's such a journey, man. Like the social media realm, the marketing, we're building all of that out. But yeah,
Big
Instagram,
journey.
It's huge. It's huge.
Bro, thank you. I fucking really enjoyed this conversation. It was probably one of my most interesting conversations, so thanks.
Thanks, bro. You're welcome. And thank you so much for having me on.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.